What's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to the Wednesday night live stream, the Hump Day edition. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis. Pleased to be joined by fellow Lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy CJ Vogel, and my esteemed colleague and very good friend Jeff Howe joining us as well. If you guys want to talk about anything, you guys throw it out there. Questions, comments. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, so you can interrupt the show at any time. Just throw out there a super chat, hashtag PaySadMan. Thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate all you guys making the time. We're going to talk about training camp and the Longhorns a little bit. There are a couple of national Longhorn related items that I want to hit and get you guys' thoughts on. And we'll also talk about the Vegas odds a little bit. Apparently, the Longhorns are very popular in Vegas these days. CJ knows that because CJ also likes to wager every now and again. But he doesn't. He's educated. His bets are very educated. Guesses,
Yeah, sometimes, Rod. Sometimes.
I would say you don't bet with your gut all the time. You go with like hard line facts, analytics. That's what I respect about CJ. He always has a breakdown about why he made the bet. CB, good to see you. All right, let's dive into it. I got a random topic or at least a random question I want to get you guys' thoughts on to start things out. I saw once again there was some hype. I believe it was SEC Network. There was a segment that they had on about Arch Manning and how great Arch is going to be. I mean, that seems to be the narrative out there. Give me one outrageous prediction for Arch, and then give me a realistic prediction for Arch. One of each from each of you.
Okay. This might sound crazy. But I don't think it is. It might be Arch is going to break the Texas single season passing record in 2025.
Oh,
now when you kind of divvy up the numbers, it's not that crazy, and that's why I think it could work for both sides. Now, how much does he break it by? Right, Texas has never had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards in a season. Quinn Ewers this past year would have done it had he stayed healthy for one more game. Averaged about 278 yards per game, if I remember correctly. If that's the case, look, Arch only needs to play 14 games. Will that be the case? Obviously, you got to stay healthy. Texas has to extend its season. But we're all kind of anticipating Texas playing a longer season, much like a year ago. And on top of that, look, I actually went through the numbers today. I don't know if this is surprising to anybody else, but it kind of threw me for a loop. Quinn averaged, 278 last year? 176 of those yards he averaged in the first half. So, in theory, right, on pace for about 350 yards per game if you sustain what you did in the first half to the second. Obviously, that's not going to be the case because in a lot of those cases, you score significantly more in the first. You blow out a lot of those non-conference games. Shoot, you drop 42 before Florida even finds painted dirt. And thus, your workload is lighter. But I was thinking about Arch and what might those, outings look for him, especially in the first half. If he averages north of 200 yards in that first half, because, again, there was an 18-yard passing performance for Quinn against Georgia, which brings down that number quite a bit. If he averages just 200 yards in that first half, yeah, he's averaging north of 300, and then that number gets significantly easier to attain 4,000 career yards. Or 4,000 passing yards in 25, thus setting the Texas single-season passing record. And, hey, again, how high could that number go? If Texas plays 15 games, you're looking at 4,500 yards. You break the record by about 800.
That's good. That's a good one. I don't know if is that realistic or the outrageous? Which one is that for you?
Well, that's the thing. I think it's a realistic expectation for him to break the single-season record. The outrageous part of it might come by how much he breaks that record by.
Okay.
And again, I think it could be north of about 800 yards.
Love it. That's a good one. All right. That's a 4,500, said Zane. Ooh.
My outrageous prediction, Rod, for Arch will not only break Colt McCoy's school record of 45 touchdowns responsible for in a season, he'll do it with double-digit rushing touchdowns.
Oh, that's good. That's money. I like that one. Okay. Yeah. That was kind of going to go along the lines of what I was going to throw out there. Yeah. For my outrageous one. is that he's going to be your second leading rusher.
You know what? Like I was gonna say 500 rushing yards because I went back and looked at it. You know, Sam Ehlinger had Sam's best year, I think, was 2019. I think he had 663. You know, it's not. It sounds outrageous, but I don't know that it is, because when we look at one thing we haven't accounted for, and I think it's one of the great unknowns with this offense. You got to go all the way back to Jake Locker to find like the last time Sark had a quarterback where you like actually could design a run game with him. And so we don't really know. And I think that's a big part of why Neil Brown was brought on as a special assistant. But we talk about Trey Wisner's going to get his, CJ Baxter's going to get his. We talk about that third back. Maybe your number 3 option to carry the ball is Arch. Now I know that's not why he came to Texas. That's not his future. That's not what he's ideal for. But I think if you do it enough, I think you can maximize his legs while minimizing his exposure to big hits. If it's going to be all about Sark picking the right spots on when to use him in the run game.
That is pretty good.
Yeah,
and I think a large reason why you saw Sark go back to that QB sneak against Mississippi State, it's not because that was the only way that they could score, but it was because, well, I think that's basically a look in the future of what's to come with him as the quarterback, right? They ran it 3 times in a row before they eventually punched it in with him on the ground. Remember, Rod, we talked about it. Sark was yelling at Arch for getting up off the ground too quickly. I think the rushing touchdowns, Jeff, I'd take that over. I like double digits.
I'm not thinking he'll break Sam's school record and go for 17, because Sam's got the school record from 2018 with quarterback rushing touchdowns with 16. I don't. That would be outrageous to say Arch breaks that. I don't think he'll do it, but yeah, I think double digit rushing touchdowns is.
That's a lot of rushing touchdowns. Well, Sam had 4 in one game against Oklahoma, right? Wasn't it something crazy?
And I love Sam. I'm a Sam Ehlinger apologist. I'm a Sam Ehlinger stan, but yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Lincoln Riley fired Mike Stoops. Maybe on the bus ride home. I know it was formally the next day, but it might have been on the bus ride home. That Oklahoma defense was awful.
Hey man, Bam Bam Sam, he was clutching some of them moments on that big stage versus OU. Jonathan says Texas tush push. I don't see it. I think it's an old school traditional quarterback sneak, but I mean, maybe the tush push. It's just there's a reason that only really one team in football is executing the tush push at a consistently high level and doing it like successfully and really high success rates throughout, right? Anybody else has any? I'm sure teams, of course, everybody's experimented with it. Has anybody other than the Eagles actually been able to master the tush push?
No, there's other variations. And
the variations of it, yeah.
Like the Bills and Josh Allen have what I call almost a power sneak with their quarterback, where it looks like he's almost going, into the B gap, but being pushed by a fullback, being pushed by kind of a pulling tackle just in the back end. So it looks in theory like a power run play where the running back is ahead of all of its blockers. So it's essentially a tush push just from, just not under center the way that the Eagles offensive line has mastered it.
Yeah.
CJ, you're making it sound more like that's Bush push style, where like your quarterback just kind of rolls aimlessly into the B gap and then just gets a nice little shove at the end.
I don't like where this conversation is going. Just like in the chat, y'all starting out with some terminology. It could be got some double meanings. It could be pretty suspect here, but no, that's a good point though. Variations of it could Sark get a variation of that. Sark has stated over and over again they're not gonna major in quarterback run game. So will they come up with their own version of it? I almost feel like Texas tried this though with Quinn Ewers once too. Don't we think that they tried to tush? Was it the Bama game? We thought they was trying to tush push.
Yeah, I think you're right, Rod.
It was a funky play that just blew up. We don't know what the hell they were really doing because the play, I don't think they ever executed it correctly. It ended up being a fumble. And was it Jay Brooks? Somebody recovered it. Either JT or Jay Brooks recovered it.
I think it was Jonathan Brooks. Yeah,
it was Jonathan Brooks.
It's the play I'm thinking about. Yeah,
yeah. I think it's the same play we're thinking about.
It was the one that the TV cameras caught Quinn looking back at Jonathan Brooks saying, "You saved my ass."
So I don't know what they were trying to execute. Maybe that was it. It was a short yardage situation, if I'm not mistaken. But the Arch March, that is, you know what? Now I'm all about them putting in a tush push play for Arch. If y'all gonna find a cool nickname for it, then let's do it. The Arch March. Well done. All right, let's thank our first sponsor of tonight's program before we move on. Let's thank our friends over at Vaughn Lane. We appreciate our friends over at Vaughn Lane and all of their support of On Texas Football. When you have to travel between major cities in the great state of Texas, and you're stuck with, honestly, two bad options, which is the airport chaos and the general stress, high stress levels of dealing with any airport experience, hoping your flight isn't delayed, or do you brace yourself for hours behind the wheel battling traffic and burning the entire day? Well, there's another option, the third option, and it's better in every way. It's the Vaughn Lane, folks. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You settle into one of just 22 oversized plush first-class leather seats with 140-degree recline, leg rest, and a cabin attendant serving complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal if you'd like. And if you need to relax, you can just simply lean back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. So right now, folks, right now it's the perfect time for you to book your fall travel. It's booking fast, so reserve your spot now for October trips to Texas versus OU in Dallas, F1 and ACL in Austin, or college football weekends in Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. That's right. The Vaughn Lane has expanded, all right, their routes to connect Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Nashville, Atlanta, Memphis, and Knoxville as well, the Woodlands and Plano. Visit VaughnLane.com and use that code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Vaughn Lane. That's Vaughn Lane Elevated Regional Bus Transportation. I have taken the Vaughn Lane myself several times to Houston and to Dallas. I can personally vouch for the luxurious travel experience that Vaughn Lane provides. And actually, I think I might be taking it pretty soon here. So my wife is taking it too for business and for to visit family for personal reasons. It's great. I would endorse it. And also, I would advise anybody out there who's got to make that trip to use Vaughn Lane. All right. Thank you very much to Vaughn Lane. Let's get to the super chat here from Justin. Says, I have a Jeff type heel I'm ready to die on. Thank you, Justin, for these. He said, with a fully healthy Quinn and Baxter, we win the national championship and only one loss to Georgia. Wow.
Okay.
All right, Jeff, address it.
Yeah, we'll still chalk up that game in Austin as a loss. That was a rough first half from which there was no return. Here's where I'll bite on this one, Justin. With a healthy CJ Baxter, your running game isn't so wide zone heavy. And you've got a nice mix of gap and power schemes, making you less predictable, probably opening up Sark a little bit in terms of your short yardage and red zone and goal line play calling. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. Because especially a healthy CJ Baxter changes the outcome of the deal.
Yeah. Nope. I like that theory though. It's good. That because the run game was predictable. I mean, the run game got shut down in both Georgia games, shut down in Ohio State game, shut down in Arizona State game, and mostly because they were overly reliant on one bread and butter run concept, which is the outside zone. That's because that's the best. I think the offensive line blocked that concept the best, and Trey Weisner, his elite traits are perfectly compatible with that run concept. Patience, got vision, got great burst, and all of that kind of fits the outside zone concept. CJ Baxter, you're right. CJ Baxter actually, his the 1 year he was healthy, he had more gap power runs than zone runs. Yeah. To Jeff's point. All right, thank you for that, Justin. We like that.
I'll just to kind of round out Justin's question. I mean, you can even go. Take CJ Baxter out of the equation. With a healthy Cameron Williams, Texas probably wins the national championship.
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna say this, and maybe I'm being devil's advocate. I don't know if I'm in the mood or what. I don't know if Quinn was gonna take you to the promised land. I think it's that. I think we could honestly say it could be that simple. Not that he wasn't a good quarterback. Mm-hmm. Not that he wasn't good. I mean, he was awesome. All right, so I don't want this to sound like a diss to Quinn. But I think ultimately I'm going to side against you and Justin, even though I like y'all's take. I'm going to say Quinn wasn't the guy to get us there. And I'm perfect. I can accept that now. I think Longhorn fans need to accept that too. And then you will appreciate what Quinn did for the program even more because he accomplished a ton. But the expectation was, national title or bust with Quinn. Now, I think there were limitations. I mean,
that'll Rod, that for me, that'll drive my 2023 point home even more because the 2023 version of Quinn Ewers, I think, was good enough to get you there and win it. I don't think the 2024 version was.
Whatever you needed to get over Ohio State, whether it's Quinn, whether it's Cam Williams, whether it's a CJ Baxter, that's what you were away from winning the national championship because Texas wasn't going to lose to Notre Dame.
No.
They had a much better team than Notre Dame. That was the national championship, that fourth down stop essentially within the 5-yard line. And again, there was 5, 6, 7 attempts for the Texas offense to score on that drive because there was the penalty. I believe 2 penalties in the red zone or in the end zone at the time. That was the national championship.
Yeah.
So chalk it up to whatever you want in terms of what Texas needed to beat Ohio State. There's a lot of factors. And maybe it isn't just Quinn. Maybe it is, but
it ain't just Quinn. I don't want to put it all on him, but I'm just saying he had his chance to put the cape on.
He did.
He had his shit, just like you said, it was there. That was out to put the cape on. And I see him put the cape on. Justin, you talking about Alabama or Michigan Quinn could have beat anybody last year. Agreed. We've talked about Alabama, Michigan Quinn. It's the best we've ever seen him look. After that, they were talking about him being a Heisman finalist. I believe he had the best odds.
He did
to win the Heisman right after that Michigan game.
There were draft folks. The number one overall conversation was at a fever pitch at that point.
Yes, it was.
I remember it. And I remember saying he put the cape on out there. I seen him. Guys, he was so good. His Pro Football Focus rating was higher under pressure than from a clean pocket. I don't know. Sometimes they update their ratings and they change. But I remember at the time, I tweeted out, go back and look at it. It was high. I was like, but it made sense. It matched the eye test. He was magnificent. But that was the peak of him at the time. That was the peak. And so like I said, it sounds like I'm hating on Quinn. I'm not. I'm just willing to accept now he was limited. I don't think Texas was going to win it with Quinn. They wasn't going to win it with him. And a lot of that is being clutch in those big moments like that. And he's got his clutch moments. 4th and 13 was, you don't get more clutch than that. All right. But ultimately, there you go. Boom. Look at that. That's the best Quinn ever played. That and that game versus Alabama. But that's why we'll agree to disagree. I just think you wasn't gonna win it with Quinn. Too many limitations, and he's not able to access the cape when he needed to, which was on versus Washington in that red zone and versus Ohio State in the red zone right there.
But I'll go back to 23 though with a healthy Jonathan Brooks. I don't think he needs to pull out the cape. Because if you've got Jonathan Brooks, Jatavian Sanders, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, I think there's too much NFL talent around him at that point.
I would say you could have beat Washington and got to the national title game that year because a lot of that was on Sark too. Y'all know how I felt.
Yeah, okay.
Play calling was a little low.
I'll agree with you on that. Yes.
Yeah, you had a disastrous third quarter, but Sark left a little bit in the bag. He didn't completely empty the bag in that game. We've talked about that. So
I'm with you on that one, Ron.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Sound like I was just dissing Quinn there. I feel bad if for the Quinn fan. Listen, I went through the same thing with Sims. I lived it. I mean, that's my brother. That's my brother from another mother of another color. That's my dog. All right. But I had to accept that we were limited in what we were going to be able to do because he can never access those elite traits in the most critical moments on the big stages. He did it a few times against Nebraska, against A&M, but we needed it against OU and some of those big 12 title games. Just could do it. I mean, that's That's why you need that QB who's got that it quality, who's got all that, and then they got to be able to not only have it but access it in critical moments.
That's
it's tough.
That's why I'm such a big. I'm in Sam Ehlinger's corner forever, because if you look at Sam in big games was great, but throughout his career it was, you know, Will Greer in a regular season game against West Virginia that they had to have was just a little bit better, like one play better. Joe Burrow was one play better. Kyler Murray in the Big 12 championship game was one play better. It was almost like the opposite. When we talk about Quinrod, it's almost like Sam lifted you up so high. It's like one of y'all needs to give him a boost so y'all can get there, because you're asking him to just drag the whole thing, and he damn near did. I hate to think what the Tom Herman era would have been without Sam Ehlinger.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with you on that. No, Sam was in more than one way, not just on the field, but we know what the program was going through off the field. I don't know if you could have had a better ambassador than Sam. Anybody else, man, the program might have went down a downward spiral. I mean, it was already obviously fragile, but man, Sam was the connective tissue. He kept everything together.
And I think that's why. Yeah, sorry, CJ, go ahead.
I was going to say, how far could that have spiraled downhill without Sam?
Whoa.
I mean,
man.
Ooh.
Dude, yeah. It would have gotten real ugly without that kind of leadership. Without that kind of, like you're talking about, Jeff, without that kind of elite leadership.
Yeah.
And he's continued to show that. I mean, Sam, he's a natural leader. I mean, just from his upbringing, the stuff he went through, you know, with his family, he had to almost out of necessity step up and be a leader. So he's got it naturally. You needed one of those type of people where adversity, it wasn't going to break him.
Yes.
In that spot.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. The last two things I'll say, and then I'll shut up for a little bit. But, you know, with Sam, I remember being at the Colorado Alamo Bowl, and I was just pissed off at the start of the second half, because that's when we got the word Sam had the shoulder injury and he was going to miss the rest of the game. And I'm like, you know, like, this is really how it's going to end for Sam Ehlinger. Like, this warrior that took you as far as he physically could, and it's going to end with a shoulder injury in a bowl game with about 5,000 people in a 65,000 seat stadium, and you're playing a team that, you know, Colorado was just there because they needed a Pac-12 team to come play a bowl game. Like, Sam just deserved much better of an ending. And then it's the ultimate what if in school history. But I think that's part of the thing that kind of uplifts Colt's legacy, is like, in that, like, we'll never know. You'll always wonder what if. Like, Colt was money up until that Alabama game, and maybe he would have delivered, but we'll never know the answer.
Yeah. No. It's a good point. All right. Sorry to dwell on that one for too long. That's my fault. All right, moving on. Let's get to some of the other questions. How about this one from Ashley? Says, Rod, how do you see this defense defending a mobile quarterback, especially against Mateer? Could our defense be better than they were? Who was DG? Actually,
Dylan Gabriel, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was thinking about QB's last season. Okay. Texas really, that's one of the only quarterbacks that gave Texas issues with the quarterback run game. And they were more scrambles and a couple of draw plays too, which is the same thing that Michael Penix did against Texas, if you remember. Maybe a couple of QB draws, and then just very responsible, well-timed scrambles by him. And Dylan Gabriel did that too. And so that would be more my concern. I think the quarterback design runs, I think PK and the defense will be ready for those quarterback design runs. I do worry about off script, off schedule runs. Diego Pavia made some plays against Texas. Off schedule though. Wasn't really design runs. When QBs make plays against Texas, I've noticed, and at least with their legs, Sam Levitt, he just off schedule. He's running around, wearing that defense out because he's running around till they get tired. Yeah, so I think that's what I worry about, Ashley. But you have so many guys who you can use as spies, and your edges are really athletic, so you can contain the quarterback, and then you got spies that if the quarterback is properly contained, they guys like Anthony Hill, and you can put Anthony Smith on as a spy.
Yep.
Put one of your safeties as spy. Colin Simmons can be. He spied a couple of times. last. Trey Moore can be a spy. He spied a couple times.
Jelani McDonald.
Yeah, you got so many athletic freaks that can spy. You should be okay there as well. But that's why I can't wait till Arch uses his scrambling ability with the scramble drill, because I think it's going to add a whole new element of difficulty defending Texas, because Texas hadn't had that element since Bam Bam Sam. Actually, Casey Thompson and Hudson scrambled a little bit too. Hudson would get out there every now and then, and Casey, but Bam Bam Sam was one of the most prolific scramblers in college football at the time. I think Arch could be like that, honestly. But anyway, flipping it, I think Texas will be okay. I'm not freaked out actually about it, but they do face probably half the damn schedule is dual threat quarterbacks. Actually,
yeah, that's true. That's kind of the beauty of this defense, though. Y'all just laid it out. You have so many different pieces that you can throw in as a spy. And, there were times against Arizona State a year ago where Texas used Trey Moore and Anthony Hill as spies, playing middle of the field linebacker. One would take the first backer out of the backfield. The other would set their eyes on the quarterback. And life was just so difficult. When you have a Colin Simmons, a Trey Moore, an Anthony Hill, even added Ty Anthony Smith, screaming downfield at you. One, it makes you worry about, if I can't get this throw off, how hard am I going to get hit? Because we know what an Anthony Hill and a Trey Moore can bring to the table hitting a quarterback, and their whole job is, well, if I'm not making a play, I need to protect myself. So all sorts of different combinations. We talk about identification issues.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine what kind of exotic games we'll see from the Texas front seven this year, simply out of just fun. Not because they're bringing something crazy, but because that it's chess, right? How can you move pieces around the board that creates confusion and misdirection? You don't even have to bring more than 3 or 4 at a time, but because you have an Anthony Hill spun down, or a Trey Moore, or Brad Spence, or Leon Glafau, or even a Jelani McDonald. I mean, folks have to sit there and readjust entire protections. And that, again, Texas has done a tremendous job against running quarterbacks. You look at Melrose, you look at whatever combination Michigan threw at Texas with those design packages. It's been a strength of theirs to sit there and say, all right, you're a running quarterback. That's great. Throw the football. You're not going to run on this Texas defense.
I think we, the royal we here, the three of us, not and everybody that's listening and watching right now, need to be careful sometimes going into a game saying, well, fill in the blank defensive coordinator struggles to defend running quarterbacks. Everybody does. It's why you have a mobile quarterback. Like, off-schedule plays is the one play you can't really defend. We saw that, like, Cade Klubnik in the playoff game last year was the best example of it. You can have the right front and the right coverage and everything dialed up right, and it still won't matter at the end of the day if that guy's able to escape pressure, buy him some time, and get rid of the football. So it's the ultimate. I forget how you've labeled it, Rob. It's like the ultimate equalizer in college football is a mobile quarterback. I agree with everything you guys said, though, especially like the design runs. Like, again, I had a Sam Ehlinger flashback. Like, the design runs aren't what you're worried about. Like, the best defenses in college football, and Texas may have the best defense in college football. The best defenses in college football are way too athletic to just be had by design runs. Like, I think about Sam on the goal line against LSU. Like, Texas in the Big 12, you can run quarterback power, and 9 times out of 10 you'll succeed. That thing, it not only was it telegraphed from the press box, it had no chance. Like, it was done before the ball was snapped. So the design runs I don't worry about. You always worry about, once the play breaks down, what are you going to do? I'll say, though, the difference in the OU game, though, where Texas has gotten more athletic is where you can prevent things like Dylan Gabriel's runs with. You've gotten more athletic at linebacker. You're way more athletic and dynamic at safety, and you're way more athletic and dynamic at edge. You've got more guys at all levels of your defense now that can play in space. And go back and watch that last drive OU had. I'm with you, Rod. I don't know if they were draws as much as it was Jeff Lebby just telling Dylan Gabriel, look, if the middle of the field is wide open, pull the ball down and go. Take those free 15 yards if they're going to give it to you. Yeah. So that to me is more of what that was. But I think Texas now, to what CJ was talking about with Ty Anthony Smith and Jelani McDonald, you got Trey Moore, you got so many options now. You're way more athletic to be able to account for mistakes in space.
It's funny. You know, we talk about elusiveness. And I look back to that big run Quinn had against A&M on a hobbled ankle, where he go for about 26 yards. And they were sitting there like, whoa, where's that? What is this? He's doing this on a bum ankle. He shouldn't even be playing in this game. And then you sit back and you kind of think, like, man, what could this offense have looked like? Or what could the extra element of this team had been for Quinn had he had that throughout the entire year? Unfortunate to think about, and you know, it serves no purpose to sit here and kind of ponder, but it does provide a little bit more excitement for what's to come this year, because you know you're going to have that element with Arch Manning and the way that he's already proven with certain packages to use his legs in that way.
Yeah, it's good stuff. How about this one from Jose 11 says, the Quinn slander has to stop. 3 of the shows I've watched and taking strays. Okay, listen, I did not intend on that becoming the topic here on the show today. So I I believe it was Justin that threw that out there. I'll just say, like I said, I'm not hating on Quinn. I think Quinn accomplished a lot, but just like Rod B was limited, turns out I was limited, right? 4th round pick. I didn't become the Hall of Fame player that I thought I was going to be. And it's a team thing. Like it's not all on Quinn. So I don't want to say like Quinn's the reason that they underachieved. No. I'm just saying that there are certain moments that opportunities that a quarterback has to put the cape on and become and transcend into legendary status. Go from being a lifetime Longhorn to a legendary lifetime Longhorn. I'm not a legendary lifetime Longhorn. So trust me, somebody who did not transcend into legendary status. There are opportunities for Rob B to transcend to legendary status. I should have caught more of them picks. All right, I dropped too many damn interceptions. I'm top 5 in PBUs. Most of them was them old-ish PBUs. Like, damn. They wasn't the celebratory PBUs, but I'm bumping my chest and stuff like that. So I had my opportunities to transcend into legendary status, and it's okay. It's all. I mean, it's still, decent career. So I'm proud of it. And same thing with Quinn. You should be proud of what he accomplished here at Texas. He left it better than he found it. You're not where you are now if not for Quinn. Texas isn't. They don't get the VYs of the world and the Roy Williams of the world and the Sid Benson without Chris Sims. And Chris Sims accomplished a lot at Texas. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm taking away from what he did. All right. But, sometimes you end up falling short because you don't capitalize on those moments. You guys know those moments we're talking about. Moments to become a legend. You know those legendary moments because you remember them right now from those guys that we refer to as legendary lifetime Longhorns. Like, oh, man, that's the game. He stood out. Put like this. I'll say this, though. I'll just say this. I had some big moments in big games, like Texas OU 2002. And even that Big 12 title game, right? Had a pick 6 in that one too. If we win those games, I could have been borderline because we'd have went to a national title game if we win the Big 12 title. And then everybody be like, Rob B he won the reasons y'all won the Big 12 title with the pick 6. Boom. And if we beat OU in 2002, it's a good chance we did screw it up to Texas Tech losing later. But anyway, at least we played for a Big 12 title. We screwed that. By the way, another opportunity for Rob B to step up, and I didn't. We had Kalen Thornton got hurt. Nathan Vasher got hurt in that game. I think Derek Johnson got hurt. We lost 4 starters on the defense, like one of the best defenses in the country. We lost 4 starters in that game. And we lost 2 in the secondary. And thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a big play. If we'd have won that damn game, maybe Robbie's legendary status. We won that Tech game. Tech, like I said, that was Cliff Kingsbury, and please don't pull up the stats. All right. And that was the introduction, honestly, for the world of Wes Welker at his coming out party in that game. And like I said, we win that game, we go to a BCS game. Or Big 12 title game. And then those MAC teams are very different. He, plays for another national title. I'm not going to say we beat Miami, but plays for another national title. Maybe Rod B gets another pick in that game. Who knows? So that's my point. So I'm not criticizing Quinn. I'm putting myself in his shoes. Hey, I fell short too. You know what I mean? And that's why we hoping at Arch, he will not in those moments. VY did not in that moment. He did not. He rose to the occasion. I think Colt would have did. Colt did the same thing too, and probably would have if he didn't get hurt. So, sorry for the rant. Just trying to make sure I ain't trying to slander.
No,
got real good, great players for Texas.
You're good, Rod. No, I'll give you another program example. Then I'll take it back to Texas. What you're talking about with legendary status? Think about Ohio State. Ohio State's a program I think about. You think about the great quarterbacks Ohio State has had, right? Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud, Dwayne Haskins had a big career at Ohio State. Terrell Pryor, Bobby Hoying back, and then Troy Smith's a Heisman winner. But the three quarterbacks I've seen lead Ohio State to a national championship were Craig Krenzel, Will Howard, and for 3 games, Cardale Jones. Like Cardale Jones got drafted based off like 3 games.
Yeah.
The Big Ten championship, the Sugar Bowl, and the national championship. Those 3 games got Cardale Jones drafted, and he delivered a national championship to Ohio State. Like that's the difference. I'm not saying C.J. Stroud was a bum or Justin Fields was a bum, but they didn't deliver the big prize at the end. And at a blue blood program, that is how you're judged. And to legendary lifetime Longhorn status, Rod, why every year when the OU game comes up, why do we always talk about Stoney Clark?
Man, yep, still remember. I can see it in my head.
Why every year around the OU game do we mention Johnny Walker?
Man, yeah.
It's those signature plays and those clutch moments. And somebody asked, I think it was actually a super chat that came through, asking about Ethan Burke. Is Ethan Burke a legendary lifetime Longhorn? Yeah. You lead a goal line stand to win a game against A&M in College Station. Hell yeah, you're a legendary lifetime.
No, but it's like I said, that's my rant about it. All right, getting back to the super chats. I know I took too long on that one. Bean here says, "Hey Rod, I remember when Mac would find things for fast guys to do. Sark has some lightning on the sideline, not really being utilized. Why is that? They can't run a jet sweep, quick slant, punt return, kick return." Yeah, Ryan Niblett, I think, is the guy people have brought up about this topic. Thank you, Bean, for this topic. We appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Is there something Ryan Niblett can do? Is it considered he's supposed to be one of the fastest guys on the team? But there's no shortage of speed on Sark's offense, though. Sark's, that's one of his number one data points in evaluation for skilled guys. Like, can he run? You can run. It kind of starts there. So he's got speed. There's no shortage of it.
My thing with a guy like Niblett, I think you throw Aaron Butler in this conversation as well. How can you get on the field without being predictable in what you are capable of doing? And that's something that Sark has kind of proven not to trust guys that are very one-dimensional. I don't want to throw Silas Bolden in that conversation because I think he got an unfair kind of run in terms of opportunities given to him after, a couple positions opened up last year, but that's another conversation. But can you be a guy that's a well-rounded wide receiver? Look at all the guys Texas has put out into the NFL recently. Jordan Whittington, Xavier Worthy, A.D., Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond. All of them were able to catch the short passes, the intermediate routes, and be a threat down the field. Is that Aaron Butler's game right now? Is that Ryan Niblett's game right now? The answer is no. Now, what can you do? It's very much like what Texas was limited at running back a year ago. When Jaden Blue was on the field, the ball is either going to him or he's in the route, right? He's not going to be picking up in pass protection very often, and if he is, you can take advantage of that. So can you provide more than just your speed coming laterally across the line of scrimmage for a jet handoff or something behind the line of scrimmage if you're not a guy that's going to be a threat down the field? It makes playing defense against an offense very easy. And that's where I think there's still a lot of desire with a guy like with a guy like Aaron Butler, with a guy like Ryan Niblett. When you fit your role very well, then it starts expounding, right? We saw that last year with Niblett taking some handoffs, being that second back a lot of times, being a third back on the field. But so far, we've yet to hear a whole lot of that about Aaron Butler because hands are inconsistent for now. And 2, there's guys below him that are passing him up in terms of what more they can do when given opportunities on the field.
You have so much dang speed in this program now. It's not good enough to just be fast. You got to be fast and functional, to CJ's point. And look, to Bean's question, I appreciate the question, Bean. We all appreciate the question. As long as I don't see anything egregious, like an offense struggling, and you got a guy like Marquise Goodwin standing on the sideline with his hands in his pockets, that's when I get upset and frustrated. So I don't think Sark would egregiously misuse anyone. I'd hate to like make a down point, but like the most misused player in the history of this program is Marquise Goodwin. I don't think Sark would misuse him.
That's a good topic. Who's most underutilized, misused, whatever player in recent history?
Because I go back, Rod, to Third and Longhorn you guys did with David Ash when he's talking about the bowl game, and even David said in the interview, like, yeah, we finally got Keese going. Like, imagine that you're Olympic long jumper that's right around maybe a sub 10 guy in 100 meters legitimately. Yeah, imagine he can run by people. Imagine that.
Yeah. I still remember Major walked by him before that bowl game. He's like, I hope you drink a Red Bull. I'm going to you early and often. And I forgot I think he had over 100 yards receiving though in that game.
Yeah.
They chunked it to him early too. Deep.
Can I go back to something to CJ's point though? Like the guy that's the perfect example of a speed guy that has developed under Sark. Keelan Robinson's probably the best example. Like he was pretty much a one-dimensional guy when he first got to Texas, but by the time he left, I mean, you could put him on the field and like you can handle the ball, he can run a route, he can catch the ball. Obviously, he's good in the return game, he's great on special teams, but that's a credit to Keelan, who was kind of a one-dimensional guy that evolved his skill set to the point where he ended up getting drafted. Like he's still on an NFL roster right now. So there is hope for guys. Like you can be a speed guy, but you can develop. To CJ's point, though, like with Aaron Butler and Ryan Niblett, there's so much talent around you that if you get buried on that depth chart, you may not ever get out.
Yeah. The hope is, that's a good point. The hope is for Ryan Niblett if you can become what Keelan Robinson was basically. And you probably have a more diverse skill set than a Keelan Robinson. Like you said, he was pretty pigeonholed when he first got here, but he did have an elite trait, which was speed. And I hear that's Ryan Niblett's elite trait. So we shall see. All right. Getting back to the super chats here. How about this one from Buddy Pal, Chief Big Guy? Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that. Says,
what a name.
I know it's a great one. I like it. We can talk quarterbacks all we want, but how many old linemen can survive this front seven on the schedule? Maybe 3. Ohio State, Florida, Georgia, maybe. Let everyone's quarterbacks run for their lives for all I care. They can't do it consistently to win the game. All right, thank you.
That is true.
What are your thoughts, CJ, about this point that Buddy Pal, Chief Big Guy's making?
First off, for a hell of a name. That's a legendary name right there. But no, you're right. I mean, if you're an offensive coordinator calling plays and your scheme is essentially to have your quarterback's legs be the reason why you beat the Texas defense, you're going to fail 10 times out of 10. That's just not going to be the recipe. As we've talked about, with the number of guys Texas has to just deploy to get after a quarterback, you're not going to be successful doing that. Now, I will add Texas A&M's offensive line to this conversation. In fact, I think they're right there with maybe an Ohio State and Georgia offensive line for what Texas will face this year. Oklahoma feels like they have an offensive line that will compete amongst the country's best. I want to see that before I believe it. But I will say I do think Texas A&M is going to be in a conversation by the end of the year to have one of the better offensive lines Texas will face this year. And if that's the case, okay. You still are asking a quarterback whose best trait is his legs to sit in the pocket and beat Texas, much like what we saw last year. I think Texas would take that trade. Maybe the only quarterback on this roster right now where you say, hey, yeah, how about you just actually throw the ball a little bit more? That's going to be Marcel Reed this
year. Yeah.
I heard a take the other day that, well, hey, if you A&M should be getting more respect in the preseason, because if you strip away the name and look at the talent, like, yeah, they've got one of the better rosters in the SEC, and they do. But you know what? You can't strip away the name, because I don't trust that program to win games in November, because they historically don't. And until that changes, I have no reason to believe it'll change. So, yeah, CJ just mentioned in A&M though. Like you look like A&M's defensive line was that for me last year. Like you look at the parts and you're like, man, they got some dudes that can play. Scroton and Stewart, and just go down the list, like NFL guys on that defensive line, and Trey Wisner ran through him like crap through a goose. Like it didn't add up the way it should have.
Mm-mm.
So to your point, CJ, that could be A&M's offensive line, where like the parts, like you're like, yeah, they should have a pretty good offensive line. But again, Marcel Reed's maturity is his development's a really big part of that.
Yeah. I don't trust more. Listen, if Marcel Reed wasn't invited to SEC Media Days, and I know people say that's not a big deal. I'm like, wait, this means he's not the leader of the team at the quarterback position. Like that he was the only returning starter that wasn't invited at the quarterback position that wasn't invited to SEC Media Days. That's just kind of weird to me. But anyway, our Aggies are supposed to be good. But they are supposed to be good, and we all know how it goes in the late in the season and in November for the Aggies. Usually they'll kind of Aggie it up, but I will say there are a lot of predictions. I even saw the blue chip ratio to your points, Jeff, that says that they got as much blue chip talent as like a top 10 team in the country. I mean, they're up there. So
do you guys, I'll throw this question to both of you guys. Do you feel like they'd be further along and you'd be more of a believer in A&M if you go back to last year, if Elko and Colin Klein had just stuck with Marcel Reed? Because he played really well their game against Florida, and then Wigman got healthy and they went back to Wigman for some reason when clearly that wasn't going to work. Like, do you think they'd be in a better spot if they had just let Marcel Reed play out the year?
Yes. How do you explain that to the guys funding your roster where you're just flat out telling them the 5-star quarterback who everyone's expecting to compete with an Arch Manning isn't the guy 3 weeks into the year, and that you're going to turn your back on him completely? That's where otherwise, yes, but I think that's an impossible situation for Elko and Colin Klein to say, okay, we're done with him, and you haven't seen the heart of SEC play. Right.
But then again, that's what's wrong with that program. It's more about optics than what actually makes sense.
I agree.
Elko's about substance, though, so that's why that's supposed to change. That Elko's a guy, it's all about substance. But thank you for that super chat, buddy, pal, chief, big guy. I will say this year Texas is supposed to break the all-time sack record at Texas. They tied it last year, which was at 47, I believe, by the 2008 Texas team. So there's a pass rush. If Texas has that elite pass rush, I always say that, yes, and we saw this, protection can beat good coverage. Good protection can beat good coverage all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. But pressure will beat protection. And we saw that in the Super Bowl, right? No matter how good that quarterback is, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, they can be GOATs. Pressure will beat protection. And this year, Texas should win that battle most of the time, that their pressure is going to beat the opposing team's protection. All right, let's get to some more super chats. How about this one? Justin got another one. Uh-oh, stirring the pot. He says, I'm done stirring the chat after this. What does first year look like if Sam comes back for his final year? Ooh, you're not 5-7. I mean, you make a bowl game. Sam's definitely worth another win.
Can I give a hot take here?
Give me the hot take.
If Sam comes back, I don't think you're as far along as a program as you are right now. Because what 5-7 did is it really showed Sark. It opened it. Every stone was unturned, and he really saw how rotten the culture within the program was.
Yeah, because you don't lose to Kansas.
Yeah. No, Sam. Well, I already saw Sam bail Texas out of a home game against Kansas that they probably should have lost. Yeah, I saw him do that once. But no, I think 5-7 needed to happen.
That's a really interesting perspective.
Good take.
They make a bowl game, but I don't think they're anything better than a 7-5. That roster sucked.
It was not.
That was a bad Texas football team. I saw the super chat come through. I started looking at what all Texas had to utilize with or to work with on that offensive side of the ball. I mean, a freshman Xavier Worthy, 980 yards. You had Jay Witt next, I think, at 330 in about 6 games maybe. You had a wide receiver 2 quit the team middle of the year. Like, you didn't have much. It's hard to make a chicken salad with, 4 ingredients.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what Texas was working with. So, I mean, it was you're not doing much. But, Jeff, I actually really like that answer there.
It's a good take.
What do you think, Rod?
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Jeff. I think you might be right. It's a hot take, but I think you might be right. But I'll say this, and I said at the time, Texas should never go 5-7. Texas should never. I don't give a damn how bad you. Texas is the program that Texas is, considering the talent you get and the resources you have. You should never go 5-7. Can you go? Can you go 7 wins, 6 wins? All right, but you should never be bowlless at Texas.
Yeah.
All right, there's no excuse for it. Like, and Sark's a damn good coach. We know that now. But I'm sorry, at the time, still, even with the roster they had, and I agree with CJ, they did not have a lot of talent on the roster. Still, enough talent to go better than 5-7. And yeah,
a kid eating cereal out the box. He's
but Jeff's right. Jeff's got a good point about it. It needed to happen, and I think it worked out for the best, as we can see now. All right, getting back to the super chats. Good question there, Justin. And get started in the chat. All right, let people simmer down there. All right, Francisco with a super chat says, fellas, I'm predicting Livingston to score a touchdown in the OU game and Baxter to score 1 in the Florida game. Book it. Boom. I like that. Okay.
I like that too.
That's good.
Look, we were pretty close to hitting some big predictions last year against Oklahoma. I said Matthew Golden would throw a touchdown.
That was wild. I can't believe you came.
He threw the ball twice. The only 2 times of the whole year, I think.
Yeah.
He threw it in that game. And Gunnar Helm brought it down like the 2-yard line. Man, I was kind of jumping around up in the press box. Not literally, but looking around saying, anybody else see what I said?
That's impressive. That was impressive. But that had to be the most impressive prediction of the season. That was really good. That was so specific. Like, how the hell? But in big games, he likes to get in his bag, and there are trick plays. Deep in his bag, there are trick plays. And if you get deep enough in Sark's bag and he breaks those out in big games, we just talked about that Bama game. He was up to something freaky and they couldn't execute it. All right. Maybe think about that. We talked about that Big 12 title game. Remember they had the Philly special? Was that the Philly special they did basically?
The double reverse pass.
Double reverse pass to JT.
Yeah, like if you get deep enough in Sark's bag, he has trick plays deep in there. He used to love that reverse pass with Xavier Worthy, or the double pass with X-Men. Mm-hmm. He chunked that out there every now and then. We didn't see a lot this past year, though.
No.
We didn't see a lot.
Wasn't a lot of need, though. Maybe sometimes against Georgia, you could have used something. The problem is they're just so fast that those long developing plays doesn't matter. MJF, which of these quarterbacks is the best candidate to throw a pass? Look, all I'll say is Parker Livingstone was throwing about 85 in high school. He was a baseball player for a while. His brother actually played at Texas Tech for a year before getting injured as well. So playing that select baseball, I don't know if that's your guy per se, but I've seen him throw a touchdown in high school. I would put my money on him.
He can't be worse than Golden.
Not that first throw. Oh, my God.
But the second throw, Gunnar Helm was like triple covered.
And Rod, you know what my favorite part about when you give a wide receiver or a running back like the opportunity to throw a football and it just doesn't go well? You ever watch a basketball player airball a 3? Yeah. They immediately start wiping off their hands. It's the same thing where they look at their gloves. It's like, oh, it's stickiness on the glove. It's like, no, buddy.
It's great.
It's like you're playing skee ball on the trick play.
No, you're right. I can see, guy. I can see Matthew Golden did it too. I think he took his gloves off for the second one, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He had gloves for one and took the gloves off for another, if I'm not mistaken. But it's like when a DB gets beat, they start looking back. Like, hello, man. It's like, no, you got beat. Who you looking for? You got beat. He's like looking around like, hold up, no, ain't nobody responsible but you. You in the vicinity.
Come up limping just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Or they put their hands up like, hold up, man, I was expecting help. Like, no, you ain't getting no help.
Nothing in football to me is worse, though. I don't think there's a lonelier feeling than an offensive lineman who gives up a sack and you look at him, he's just kind of meandering around. Like, he has no interest in going anywhere near the quarterback at that point. Like, he just wants to dig a hole and crawl in it at that point.
My favorite is the old lineman that gives the sack and he immediately helps the quarterback up. Like, damn, my bad, bro. That was me, all me. I was like, I respect that because he's first like, I'm sorry, bro. That was
you gotta have one or two. There's no in between reaction, Rod. You're either like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, you're overly apologetic, or you just want to shrink.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
see that offensive line, maybe give like a little bit of a nudge to the guy that sacked him. It's like, get out of here, man.
I think we should ask O lineman about that next time we have one. We got to ask Tony Hills about that. When you give up a sack, what is the decorum? What do you do?
What is sack allowed etiquette?
Yeah, because some quarterbacks may be so upset they don't want don't right now. I just want to focus on the next play, man. Don't come over here with your apologies. I don't need that now. But I want to talk to my quarterback before he watches the film, so he knows, hey, just so you know, that was me. I gave up that sack. I'm sure they see it on the screen though up there.
That's usually like the old school quarterbacks would probably be I don't think like a Troy Aikman would be very happy peeling him off the turf. You know,
that's what I'm saying. You get cussed out by the old school QB. They'll cuss you out. Like, hey man, do your job. Blah, 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 blah. The new school guys, I don't think they do that. I think they're a little softer, which is good, by the way. We're sensitive as a society. All right, let's thank our one of our sponsors. Let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge. Texas football fans, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge right now have over 600 vehicles in stock, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram, proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing right now with our friends at South Point Dodge. That's right. You pay what the employees pay right now at South Point Dodge. You won't get a better deal than that. They call it the real deal at South Point Dodge. You can go see them off 535 in South Austin, or you can go online at southpointdodge.com to check out their fantastic inventory. Whether you need a car, truck, something new, something used, a trade-in, whatever you need, South Point Dodge is Austin's automotive everything. So check them out today at southpointdodge.com. All right, getting back to the super chats. Thank you for that one, Doctor. Oh, how about this? Buddy, pal, chief, big guy. My favorite is the DB that commits a felony in pass coverage, then is shocked when the flag is thrown. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, he's draped all over. He's like, what? Oh man, come on!
DBs will celebrate anything.
The other one, Rod, is like the ball is like overthrown. It's like 20 yards past the receiver, and the DB's coming up, going, just doing the. You didn't do anything. You did nothing on that.
Hey, you got to take credit, man. That's a forced incompletion. All right, we got a stat for that these days. No, you're right. DB will celebrate anything. We're just trying not to get the blame, but we want all the credit. That's how it works with DB's mindset. All right, getting back to it. Speaking of DBs, Jonah Williams enthusiast here. Thank you, Jonah Williams enthusiast. Appreciate it. Would you guys take 2-2 in the Ohio State, Florida, Georgia, and A&M game right now? Damn.
So basically split those 4?
Okay. You can't beat Ohio State and Georgia and lose to Florida and A&M. That's going to piss people off. So you got to split that. Say you lose to Ohio State.
No. You can't beat any combination of those first 3 and lose to A&M.
I know. I feel like losing to A&M is just going to be the deal breaker here. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm not taking that.
CJ not gonna take it. Come on, man. You basically saying they're gonna be 10-2. It's just the 2 losses. You don't like the 2 losses.
No, I mean, it's any of the 2. It's either you lose to Texas A&M or Florida, who you're significantly more talented than, or you still can't get over the hump of a Ohio State and Georgia, and you're still now getting a louder conversation about, can Sark beat the upper echelon of college football teams? And I don't want to be sitting here talking about that. So no, I'm not taking that deal.
You can't miss out on an opportunity to win a conference championship by losing at home to A&M in the last regular season game. I appreciate the question, Jonah Williams enthusiast, but the A&M loss is a non-starter for me.
Hell no. Hell no. I would just say, I guess it's only acceptable to be devil's advocate. Lose to Ohio State and lose to Georgia, beat Florida and A&M, make it back to the SEC title game to face Georgia. That's what I would hope would happen, and you get revenge. That's what I would hope, because I obviously this hypothetical, we don't know that, but that's the only thing acceptable to me. To CJ's point, it would make our lives hell, because that would be the narrative all until the next football season, unless they win it all and make a playoff run. And the playoff run would be, oh, Sark, and then we got to hear that from Aggies and Sooners and everybody, like, oh yeah, Sark's a good coach, but he can't beat the big dogs. He ain't that good.
Sark would be dealing with the same thing Ryan Day's been dealing with this offseason.
That's fair.
Because Michigan fans can throw it in Ohio State fans' faces like, yeah, but we went to Columbus and won the game. And there's nothing Ohio State fans can say because it's 100% factual. Like, it's true. Your one loss was to Michigan, which now every Ohio State fan now has to answer the hypothetical. Hey, if you won the national championship, but you only lost one game and that one game was Michigan, would you take it? And there's a good chunk of Ohio State fans like, nope, I'd rather lose that last game and beat Michigan.
I'm sorry, guys. If it meant losing to like our rival Oklahoma A&M and winning a national title, I take it all day, every day. Like
100% of it.
Yeah,
I would. Yeah.
Like,
they could beat Texas by 45. It does not matter to me.
It wouldn't matter to me. I'd be on cloud nine. So, but I get it. I get it. I get how some people, like I said, Bobby probably would feel different about that if you asked him that scenario. Okay, let's thank our final sponsor before we get to a few more questions as we approach the end of tonight's live stream. Our friends at Advanced Pain Care. We were just talking about legendary lifetime Longhorns stepping up in the clutch. Well, they're two of the most clutch legendary lifetime Longhorns of all time, Vincent, Paul Young, and Colt McCoy. We have a great message for you from our friends at Advanced Pain Care.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. And Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
All right. Thank you to our friends over at Advanced Pain Care. Another super chat. This one from Brett. Brett, thank you very much for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Says, we need Sark on the show. Week 1, Texas 24, Ohio State 10. Ooh, gonna beat them by 2 touchdowns. Brett is really confident. I like that. That's swagger right there. I'm not that. I think Texas is gonna win. I do. I think Texas is gonna win. I think they win. I think it could be a game-winning drive type situation. I mean, fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter kind of thing before they seal it.
Does Brett want Sark just on the channel, or is he wanting with the Wednesday live stream crew? That's the question.
Well, he probably ain't gonna come on with us. If he does come on, it'll probably be with the coffee and football guys. Just because
Sark isn't gonna kick it with us. He'd be like, those jokers now.
I mean, it's Sark After Dark. It's in the name.
That would be wild if Sark actually came over with us one day after dark. That'd be crazy. But no. If he does come on one day, it'll probably be with the guys at Coffee and Football. They're awesome. All right. Thank you for that, Brett. We appreciate the prediction as well as the super chat. Sugarcane Daddy, not the crop, says, if Texas goes undefeated, wins the Natty, and Arch wins the Heisman, will Texas hype / craziness / hate surpass anything college football has ever seen before? Yeah, because if Arch comes back, definitely.
Oh,
because if they do all that, I've said before, Arch does need to reconsider. I mean, the NFL thing. Now he's likely going to come back, but none of the others were that advanced, and they didn't do all that. They didn't win the national title, the Natty. You know what I mean? Like, that's doing all that in one season does say, well, there's not much left for your stock to do other than drop. Now, they're not worried about stock, but it will say that you performed at an elite level if you do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Who's been the most hated team that y'all can think of?
I'll say this. If all that happens, you remember how annoyed everybody was with USC throughout the whole 05 season?
No.
Crank it up to about 10. That's how the rest of college football would feel about Texas in 2020.
Was that just because they were dominant as hell?
Well, yeah, and you had, everybody every week. It's hey, could USC beat the 1955 Oklahoma team? It's like they still have actual games to play this season. Like, they haven't won the national championship yet. So, I don't know if it was hatred, but Miami in 02 was like that coming off of that 01 national championship year, where it was like, yeah, they're gonna it doesn't even matter who they play in the national championship game, they're gonna win.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think you're right. I don't know if we've ever seen anything like it though, because the brand that is Texas combined with the brand of an Arch Manning as well. Florida during the Tebow era is good though. That's good.
That's a good answer.
They were winning, and it's a two big brands combined, right? The Tebow brand with Florida, and they were actually winning. They were a dominant force. Some packs say if Notre Dame won the Natty, it would top that scenario. Yeah, Notre Dame's got one of those brands. They need a celebrity though. They don't have a celebrity quarterback like that. You got to have a celebrity, and it can't be a running back. It has to be a celebrity quarterback. Any other position, sorry, it ain't gonna be sexy enough for everybody. Celebrity quarterback with your big brand. That's why the Tebow Florida thing works. Notre Dame, whenever they got a celebrity quarterback, yes, you ain't got a sexy quarterback, man. That stuff will go by quick. Trust me. It doesn't. I mean, that's the combination that really makes you hate it because they hate the quarterback and they hate the brand as well.
That's why my Miami example is not a great example for what we're talking about with the USC one, because Matt Leinart did win the Heisman.
At USC one is good.
Put off going into the draft.
Yep. That was a good, and they Hollywood, right? They're Hollywood, and all so half the country hated USC just for the fact they're West Coast. Juju Man says, I hate the Hurricanes, Jimmy Johnson era. Yeah, I mean, the Hurricanes, to me, that's more fear and respect of the Hurricanes. Like Miami, like, I mean, even the early 2000s was like, damn. I mean, that roster right there trying to face that group, that is a Herculean task. Good question there, Sugarcane Daddy. We appreciate that. Not the crop. Let me remind everyone real quick before we end things that if you are in Houston or you're in Dallas or Austin, you can join us for our Texas tour. We're going to hang out with the guys over at 3rd and Longhorn on the 19th of August. We're going to be at Schultz's Beer Garden in Austin, Texas. On the 20th, we're going to be in Houston, Texas at the Social Beer Garden. Thank you very much, Matthew. And on the 21st, we're going to be in Dallas at the Happiest Hour. The whole OTF family and 3rd and Longhorn crew going to be hanging out, getting you guys ready for some Texas football. You can RSVP for free or purchase your VIP passes at thirdandlonghorn.com/tour. It's really easy. You can go check it out, thirdandlonghorn.com. You can RSVP for free, like I said. So thank you very much to Matthew for putting that up there. And all you guys, if you want to come hang out, we'd love to get a chance to meet you guys in person and see you guys. And thank you guys for helping us build this family. Speaking of building a family, if you're not a member of the OTF gang and not an OTF OG, now's a great time to do it. You can become a member right now for just pennies on the dollar, $39.95 for a year subscription to On Texas Football. Just use that promo code OTFOG and you'll become an OTFOG. It's just that simple. So thank you very much to you guys out there for helping us build this community. And so you want to be an OTFOG, you can subscribe right now for just $39.95. Oh, Ball for the Best. Whoa, Ball.
Dang.
Wow, thank you for the super chat. Oh man,
Do you have to end the show with your helmet on, Rod?
Oh man, yeah.
He said, "Yeah, I guess I do."
Yeah, let me go get it. There we go. All right, there we go. Thank you all for the bets. I appreciate that. All right, appreciate it. Let me strap up for you here. All right, nice. There we go. All right, all for the bet says, Rod, do you expect Ohio State to play a 4-2-5-3 high again? Week 1 with Downs, kind of in that Cam Chancellor hybrid role in the middle. Patricia hasn't had enough time to make massive changes, right? Appreciate you guys getting me through the offseason. Ball for the Best. Thank you very much for that very kind super chat there. I was actually talking to E. Hogan, he's got family up there in Ohio, and we were talking about Jim Knowles' system transitioning with Matt Patricia and the mystery, right, of what Matt Patricia is going to do. But he did say that Ohio State kept most of the position coaches. Almost all the position coaches are the same. Jim Knowles was the one that left. So the position coaches are still there, which makes me think they are going to do some hybrid version of what Jim Knowles implemented there and had last year, especially since Caleb Downs is considered the best player, potentially defensive player in college football. They want to weaponize him, and they did a great job with that, as you point out, in that inverted role, in that 3-high system as that inverted middle defender. And then he could just kind of roam and improvise and use his instincts. And he was just a game wrecker there. I think they still want to keep that strategy. So I'm thinking they're going to hybridize what Jim Knowles did last year. And then Matt Patricia is just going to really kind of build his philosophy on top, or really combine it with what Jim Knowles did last year. There's no way they're going cold turkey. And he's definitely not going to run exactly what Jim Knowles did, because he doesn't have the exact same pieces, and he's not going to call plays like Jim Knowles. He's not familiar enough with the system and the structural integrity of it and where the weaknesses are and the strengths are. He's not aware of that, so that'd be stupid. But the framework of it, you can keep. And I think you're right about the 4-2-5-3 high. I think they're going to keep that framework of it. And so, and Jim Knowles' system, I think, is going to change again. Remember, it changed from his time at Oklahoma State to Ohio State. And a lot of people theorize it's going to change again when he goes to Penn State, too.
Yeah. So, it's going to be interesting because, look, it had success against Texas a year ago, obviously. But Texas also didn't really have its two top receivers in that game. If you look back, right, Matthew Golden limited after the second quarter with an ankle sprain, and there were some conversations about whether or not Isaiah Bond was fully into that game, even with the hype and the expectations. So what will that look like with a much broader array of weapons? I'm excited to see how Texas tests it vertically after how much we've been discussing that vertical deep shots coming back.
Yep. All right, good stuff. Ball for the best. Thank you for that super chat. I'm gonna keep the helmet on, like just right to the end of things, because that's a great run. Oh, Landon here. Is Arch prepared for chaos? What QB in the SEC is? Yeah, that's interesting. I think certain quarterbacks are almost agents of chaos. They thrive in those roles when the play breaks down, when it's a great point. I think Lawrence Sellers is one of those guys. I think Arch is really good in those situations. Second reaction, off schedule, when the play breaks down. Matter of fact, I saw CJ tweet it out, and one of Arch's first touchdown, if not his first touchdown, was a scramble drill to Bowden. Remember that early on in the season? That scramble to the Bowden, it was in the red zone. And he kind of flipped it too. It wasn't even like an actual an overhand toss. It was like that kind of a flip. And it shows how relaxed he is in those moments, and he knows where his exits are, right? He knows where the different checkdowns are within the offense, even in the scramble drill. So I think he's going to be comfortable in chaos. And I don't know if you're an agent of chaos. Some agents of chaos, like Johnny Manziel, he preferred chaos. Like he was better off schedule than on schedule. I don't know if he's going to be that, but I do think his instincts will translate really well in those chaotic situations.
Yep. Like, to me, Garrett Nussmeier is not an agent of chaos, but man, maybe it's just because the one game I really watched LSU last year was the Hannon game. He got the hell beat out of him in College Station and just kept getting up and firing the ball down the field and got no help that night. And that's why LSU lost the football game. But Nussmeier can handle chaos.
Yep. We talk about Sam Elliger. Bam Bam Sam was pretty good in chaotic situations. DY was awesome in those situations too. All right. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Ball for the bets. Appreciate that. I'm gonna keep this on. All right, until we end things just for you. But thank you guys for all the kind super chats. We appreciate that. Sorry I couldn't answer all the questions, or we couldn't answer all the questions. If you have questions that we couldn't answer, you can direct them to the guys at Coffin Football bright and early tomorrow morning. That'll be Bobby and Jerry. And also tomorrow we'll have the winning drive. That'll be myself and CJ on the winning drive. We may have a special guest on the winning drive too. We're working on that a little bit because Coach Shipley, he's going to be out. He's got a big vacation that he's on. He's okay, and he's going to be back with us next week. So winning drive at 3:15 tomorrow if you want to direct some of your questions that we didn't answer to me and CJ tomorrow. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes, the real MVP, always doing a great job. Thank you to our sponsors, Vaughn Lane, vaughnlane.com. Use the code OTF25 and save $20 off your first ride with Vaughn Lane. Thank you to South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com. And thank you to our friends at Advanced Pain Care as well. We appreciate all of their support. For Jeff and for CJ and for Matthew, I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.